Hey guys, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in this video, I know that the light conditions aren't very good, but I do want to start trying to get these thought videos out when I'm having the thoughts, rather than always writing them down and trying to crystallize things for later and taking a while to get to it. So, the thought that I'm having today is how you are conditioning yourself. We are creatures of habit, and how you condition yourself has a lot to do with how you react to the same situation later. So, I've been sick lately. Not really sick, but sort of miserable sick. Uh, just enough to be able to keep going. And a lot of my coworkers around me have been calling in sick with the same thing. And it's always hard to gauge somebody else's level of sickness. Uh, a lot of people do react very differently. Their immune systems put them down a lot harder for the same bug. Some people catch it harder, their bodies get colonized worse than others. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So it's always sort of silly when I hear somebody compare how they reacted to how they got sick to the same bug as somebody else. Uh, but I'm going to talk about my internal reaction. And I'm always a little uncomfortable talking about something like this when I'm trying to make an example out of myself, perhaps a good example. But I am sure that most of my audience, most of my active audience, is probably better on this than me. A lot of you guys are a little older than me, and plenty of you have lived rough lives, I'm sure. And so are no strangers to having to work through illness and push yourselves whenever you don't want to. I've usually either absolutely needed the money that I work for to the point where any missed hour is nearly unacceptable, or worked in jobs where any missed time essentially is a firing or an unacceptable loss in progress in your position. And just various reasons why there's a strong reason not to call in sick even when you're miserably sick, even for just a day, or to go home for half a day. And I was raised not to give up, basically to push through it unless it would be detrimental health wise. And that is a very subjective measurement in and of itself. So, for my own general reasons, I always feel as though I should push through illness and work it off, if you will. I also don't like just sitting there sick. Side note, I was on medications for much of my childhood and spent a lot of time uncomfortable awake in bed. So I don't like doing that with illness. I'd rather be miserable standing up than miserable laying down awake. So, anyways, what I'm getting at here is that I have actually reached a point where when I'm sick, I have the urge, my reaction is to try to rally and push myself harder. And now that I'm a little bit older and I start to feel some of the stuff that I do a little more than I did 6 years ago, I reassess that. That means a little more to me now than when I was working harder a little bit when I was 6 years ago, just a little bit younger. So I appreciate a little more how it feels when my body has the urge to push through something like that. It almost surprises me because when I get to the end of a 9-hour shift, I start to feel like I'm just ready to crash. And, a little bit of coffee or tea and some homeopathy later, my body's ready to go again. And I share that as an example of you will surprise yourself what your second and third and fourth wave can provide you if you have your metabolism up. Humans are extremely and extraordinarily resilient creatures, and we live in extremely soft conditions, even compared to just 100 years ago. If properly maintained and healthy, your body has depths of endurance and misery that it can withstand that is pretty much unimaginable to your average Westerner. When you know the stories of what people have survived, what our ancestors, every one of our ancestors has survived at some point in history for us to be here, it is stunning and somewhat scary to think of what you can put yourself through and just keep going. So that helps me keep going, thinking about all the people who have been sick or maimed and put through a lot of work in the past, whether because that was a matter of survival or it was a matter of oppression. I can push through a 48-hour sinus cold and push myself to try a little bit harder to not give up my fitness routine and stuff like that, because pretty confident this isn't going to kill me. Pretty confident there won't really be necessarily any lasting physical damage if I'm not laying in bed for the parts of this illness that feel awful. Would that get me over it faster? Sure. But I do sort of wonder about the conditioning of that being the reaction to illness. If you can get by without taking it easy, would that be conditioning yourself to being more prone to doing such a thing when you're sick, when you're hurt, when you don't want to? I think so. And that may not be important nowadays, but I can think of a few situations where it would be. Prepping isn't just about gear and supplies and even just skills. We talk about the importance of physical fitness and being prepared, and that gets just sort of haphazardly appreciated even by those who do appreciate it. But fitness isn't just about taking hikes or lifting weights or things like that. Your metabolism is a very important part of your immune system, your energy levels, how you feel about your body, how your body feels after work, during work. So keeping your metabolism up and paying attention to that, providing your body with the nutrients that it needs to have a healthy metabolism and to be able to process energy and provide energy to the parts of your body that need it when you're sick, when you're working hard, is very important. Conditioning your body to react the proper way to certain circumstances is going to go much further for you when you enter times of stress. You have to be working really hard and moving about a lot. Far more than something like just having a bunch of food. Living on that food and working hard now will do far more for you than having expensive supplies or watching a bunch of YouTube videos. So I really hope that this can come across as thoughts for you and not me trying to take something about myself and hold it up as some kind of good example. These are just thoughts that I've been having, and like I said, I'm sure are not unique to me, but they are something that I think was worth sharing and getting out there. Just to assess how you condition yourself to react to certain things. I think that every time that you react to certain circumstances a certain way, you are making it easier for those neuron pathways to be how you react the next time. And so I think that every reaction, every choice is part of a battle to make it easier for yourself to be a certain way. Anyways, I hope those were some interesting thoughts. I hope this video was decent enough to be able to share with you guys. If not, we'll try it again later. Anyways, hope you're well. Everybody stay safe out there.